Hi there, Allison here with another Cab Franc du jour. Today we are in Provence and we're looking at the Château Léoube 2012 Léoube Collector Cabernet Franc. In 2002, shortly after the winery was established, the owner of Château Léoube approached their winemaker Romain Ott with the idea that he wanted to plant and eventually make a world-class Bordeaux-style blend. They planted a little bit of Cab Sauv, some Cab Franc, a bit of Merlot, and then over the course of 10 years, they kind of tinkered with the assemblage, the élevage, and eventually concluded that 100% Cabernet Franc was the ideal Bordeaux-inspired expression from their terroirs. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's way too warm in Provence for Cabernet Franc, and you're right. For much of the region, it is, except for this spot where Léoube is located is quite particular. So their vineyards are sitting 50 meters, that's 165 feet from the Mediterranean Sea. You can literally see the sea from their vineyards. And this strong moderating influence from this body of water and the constant cooling breezes coming off the Mediterranean drop the overall vineyard temperature. It helps to slow down ripening, extend the growing season, and allows Cab Franc to retain its freshness. Now, I want to unpack something a little bit here, so just bear with me on this tangent. So from what we know, the origins of Cabernet Franc are in Basque country. So this is the border of France and Spain, right on the Atlantic Ocean. And of course, we move north and eventually we get to Bordeaux, and we know the Cab Franc wines from st-Emilion. Head east and eventually we get to the coastal vineyards of Tuscany and Bolgheri. There's some really exceptional examples of Cab Franc coming from these vineyards as well. So what is it about Cabernet Franc and these marine kind of coastal sites? I honestly don't know yet, but it's something I find quite fascinating. And I will explore this in a little bit more detail because Cab Franc has developed a bit of an affinity for these coastal spots. Looking at Léoube again, their vineyards are located on almost the exact same latitude as Basque country as well as Bolgheri, which is amazing. Now, the soils here are worth noting. The vineyards are part of the Massif des Maures. So this is a geological formation. It was formed around the same time as the Massif Central and the Massif Armoricain. So we're talking soils of metamorphic origin, schistous based, but we have predominantly clay here. And the clay is important because clay helps to retain moisture, keeping the vines nice and hydrated, but it also is a cooler soil. It doesn't warm up quite as quickly. So again, providing this nice moderating influence for Cab Franc. There's also a nice sort of streak of mica schist in the soils, and that gives this wine a nice mineral edge. Now, Léoube has 3 hectares of Cabernet Franc planted. They're all organically farmed. The vines were planted in 2002. They're working with the Bordeaux clone, I believe. And this is one of 2 100% Cab Franc based wines that the winery makes. They also do a traditional method sparkling, which is amazing. And the nose has this wonderful aromatic lift to it. Like you can tell almost immediately that it's Cab Franc. It has sort of nice sort of dried red cherries. There's a little bit of like a streak of black currant in here as well. This wonderful kind of green fig note as well, which I quite like. The herbaceousness comes through beautifully at a moderate level. The pyrazines kind of come through as this sort of herbes de Provence, a little bit of rosemary, some bay leaf. There's a little bit of kind of a cured tobacco note as well, which is quite interesting. And there is a touch of brininess, like a cured black olive or sea spray thing going on as well. And the palate is so surprising. So it has this wonderful mouth-watering freshness to it. The tannins are really nice and fine and quite elegant in terms of their structure. It has this nice little sort of chalkiness on the finish as well. It's got great texture. The fruits come through beautifully, and it has this poise. It's very graceful, very finesse-driven, quite elegant. It's really a surprise. You know it's Cab Franc, but it also has this sort of warming kind of Mediterranean feel to it. It's really quite interesting. This is their second vintage, of this wine. Their first was 2011. It's going to be a tough one to find, but if you do, I highly recommend picking it up. And in the meantime, let me know if you've got any favorite expressions of Cab Franc from any of these coastal sites that I mentioned in the comments below, of course. And of course, as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll be back again soon with another wine. Cheers.